Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back at it again on episode 6 of Lay of the Land. I appreciate everybody who's tuning in this afternoon or evening, whatever time it is for you when you're tuning in to the 6th episode. Again, 6th episode. So those who said it wasn't going to be consistent, there it is again, episode 6. We're going to do this every week, and I'm going to get into more dialogues. It's just really hard to schedule people when you have a smaller podcast like I do. You know, I am slowly building my audience. I love my people who give me a watch and a listen every week. Thank you, guys. But, you know, some big news to start out the night. My producer, which is also my fiance, has quit on me. You can see I'm running the sound and then running the camera myself. So she quit. So we're not in a business partnership anymore. So I thought that was top of mind. But yeah, wanted to get back to the basics tonight. I had several things that I want to talk about, and you know how I do get a little spastic on when I go on and on about these things. But tonight is going to be a spastic night. I'm looking forward to it because there's just some ideas that I want to go back over and cover, if you already don't know my opinions on these things, because I think it's very educational. So let's start off by going back to the basics. Yeah, these elites. Who are the elites, okay? It is the top 1% who own 30% of all the income in the U.S., okay? I think it's the world, but I don't want to be wrong on that. But they own over 30% of all the wealth in America. That is crazy, people, okay? The working class, people like you and me, we don't get any of that share. The 1%, the ones who are making all these big decisions. And you ask me, Noah, how are these elites making all these big decisions? Money talks, and they fund both sides. They fund Republicans and Democrats. That's why I'm a big believer in the uniparty. The uniparty is real. People say that's a straw man, whatever. It's obvious. These billionaires fund both sides. And if you look, when Biden was in office, all the big tech bros were in with him. Now that Trump's in office, all the tech bros are Republican all of a sudden. So it just flip-flops. It's the same. You're not going to get in office unless you're compromised in some way, whether that be compromised for Israel, compromised for big pharma, compromised for big tech, so. All that you can see, it's all the same party. That's why, you know, when there is some evidence to come out, there's no arrest made. You know, we're not mad enough about what happened with the Epstein files. Nothing really happened out of it. You know, Les Wexner was pretty much, you know, it shows that he was proven guilty. He was proven guilty. He even made some remarks in court that, you know, his lawyer leaned over and said, if you keep talking, I'm going to kill you. So, but he never really faced any sort of repercussions for his actions. And, you know, that's what we expected. But we cannot forget that we were right. We knew what was going on. We knew that there was a pedophile ring that worshiped Satan. We knew that they hated Christians. We knew that they wanted to pervert any form of purity. That's what they wanted to do. And that's why these elites are pedophiles, because they see something that's so pure that is a young child. Because, you know, Jesus said that those are the purest. That's the purest form. Those are the true believers, or have a childlike faith. And so these elites, they want to pervert that childlike faith, and they want to pervert that purity. So it then creates a monster, and it then hurts them for the rest of their lives. Because when something like that happens to a young child, it is ingrained in their mind, and it sometimes shapes their life, which is a really sad thing. And that's what these elites want to do to you and want to do to your children. And they want you to kill your children before you even have them. They want you to sacrifice your children to the demon that is Baal and the demon that is Moloch, okay? They want you to, it's just like it was in the Old Testament, okay? They want us to human sacrifice people, and that's been going on for centuries, and it's still going on today. That's what abortion is. These people, they also eat the fetuses, okay? They eat the dead babies because they think that there is some sort of chemical in the child's blood that helps them live forever, because that's what these elites want to do. They want to live forever. So that's why they're talking about transhumanism and transcending reality, because this is what they want to do. I touched on this last time, but this is what this podcast is about. We're about taking down the elites and taking down the New World Order, because we are the resistance, okay? We are the war of information, if you will, okay? So this hunger for knowledge that I feel like a lot of young people are getting, it's a good thing. It's a good thing to chase that hunger, because you want to go back, you want to learn what's happened in history. Knowledge is power, okay? And having more knowledge equips you for this information war that is currently going on, okay? They want you to think that everything is great. Technology has made everything better. Oh, this is the best it's ever been for people. No, this is the best it's ever been for the billionaires, because they can now track us in literally everything we do. They're going to put in programming into your computer when you're at work, so they can monitor how productive you are throughout the day and how many breaks you took while you were on your computer. That's scary stuff, people. And I talked about how they're also going to monitor whether you're able to drive your own vehicle that you bought for yourself, that you bought and paid for. They're going to be able to judge if they're going to be able to have technology to judge if you can even operate your own vehicle. This is Orwellian stuff, guys. This is stuff that you heard about in 1984 and in Brave New World. Like, let's wake up here, okay? And that's what's important. Don't let this be for nothing, okay? Don't let all of this information that you are learning be for nothing. Be awake. Share the information with your friends. Share the information with your family. There is a war in our country right now. It is a spiritual war, and it is an information war. And all this information that you gather and that you absorb is weaponry for you to go out into the field and to spread the good news, because ultimately as Christians we are supposed to, and we are called to, spread the good news, because we want everyone that is alive to go into heaven. We know that there is the good news, and we know that through Christ you can receive meaning in life, because that's what all these people, that's what they find their meaning through, is not through Christ. They find it through using the system for Satan and corrupting young children and corrupting young people. That's where they find their purpose, because they feed off the evil energy that is rising up from the bottom level dimension, because there is several dimensions. The evil energy that is rising up from that inhabits these billionaires, okay? Well, before they're billionaires, and then the evil is able to corrupt them and get them to the higher parts of society, because in the end, Earth is a world. The world is worldly, as like I'd like to say, and it is of the devil. Every pleasure, everything of this world is of the devil. And what did Jesus say about a rich man getting into heaven? What did he say? It'd be easier for a camel to pass through the eye of the needle. Thank you, ex-producer. It'd be easier for a camel to pass through an eye of a needle than a rich man is to get into heaven. So that shows you just how much these things are worth. They're worth nothing, okay? And ultimately, that's all a part of this big picture. The elites want you to be focused on things that do not matter in the long run. They want you to be tied up in social media followers, food, poison water that you drink every day, poison that you drink every day, i.e. soda. What are some other things? Oh, the latest trend, Labubu dolls. Do you catch my drift? Things like that. That's what they want you to be. They want you to find your identity in those micro trends, so you do not find your identity in things of Christ and things that are in nature. Like I've spoken about, connecting to nature is essential in Christianity, because you are connecting with another part of the Creator, okay? You were both designed by the Creator. and there is life flowing through nature, and there is life flowing through you. So there is a spiritual connection that is to be had within nature. Also, when there is no phones, because, the 5G screws up everything. We won't get into that tonight. But that's the thing, okay? Once you unplug and take a look in nature and you really connect and you feel it, your eyes will be opened, and then you can be contacted through Christ himself and through spiritual beings. Okay, I haven't experienced this yet, but I have had some dreams. I had a dream the other night to where I was this spiritual entity flying through, okay? And then I was granted access to the physical realm, and I could touch and walk through the physical realm. And I think I had this dream because I was reading The Great Divorce, but I also think it was a message from Christ himself, because through nature, we can then connect with Christ on a more physical and spiritual level, okay? But all other things do have to be in line in order for this to happen. So you have to be working on your relationship through prayer and through reading the Word, okay? And through pursuing Christ-like relationships and respecting those who you come in contact with, and sharing the Word and sharing the good news. And also, through these things and through Christ, you can reshape and rewire the way your mind works, okay? So if you struggle with lust or struggle with addiction or anything like that, you have to open your mind and open yourself up so that Christ can come in, and through him, your mind can be rewired to where those things do not feel the same that they used to do. It doesn't bring that pleasure like it used to. And that pleasure doesn't last as long either, because ultimately, there is a bigger prize, which is eternity, which is heaven. And it's such a mystery, and people act like some of these denominations, they act like they just know it all. This is what's going to be. This is what's going to happen. This is who's going to hell. This is who's going to heaven. It's all a mystery, okay? It's all a mystery. We don't really know what it's going to look like, okay? The Lord has given us, bits and pieces of what it's going to look like, but we have no idea, okay, in reality, what it's going to be like up there or what it's going to be like down there. So I want to be on the winning team. Am I right? So you say, Noah, how do these all tie together? And I think that's a great question, because I have been bumping around tonight, but I just feel so alive right now because I know that we're going to defeat the elites and the pedophiles, okay? This is our time. Back in the day, I couldn't get on here and just film a video and post it on the internet and get like 20 views like I get now, okay? Back in the day, the only way people were going to hear any sort of news outlet, would you consider this news? I think so. You would have to go and flip through broadcast and watch national news and talk about controlled media. Sorry, I had to take a water break. We're back. Okay. Like I was saying, everything's controlled, okay? From the moment you wake up and look on your social media, from the time you turn on the TV, okay? Everything's controlled, and they're bought. These things are bought and paid for by these same elites that are buying and paying for these politicians to make us, the common people, argue from a day-to-day basis, okay? So, like I said, it's not Republican versus Democrat, people. It is the working class and the normal working Joe versus the top 1% elites, okay? And these elites, they are of the devil, okay? They sacrifice children. They obviously are pedophiles. It is confirmed, okay? So, and I heard that they're rolling out aliens are real now, okay? That's what they're saying. They're rolling it out. They're rolling out, there's UFO sightings. These are confirmed. No. Look, what they're trying to hone in on is they're trying to bring in prophecy. And so once the actual revelation does happen, they want people to think that people were just abducted by aliens and society rolls on. That's what they want us to think that happened. And a lot of these encounters were not aliens. They were spiritual beings speaking to people in real human form. These are real things. They're spiritual beings. That is what's actually happening. It is not aliens. It is because, well, I guess it is an alien because it's not of this world. It's not of this realm. It is a spiritual realm. And that brings me to my next topic, okay? We have been conditioned to think that dinosaurs are real, okay? Dinosaurs are not real, all right? If you look, all the fossils that are up in museums are made in China. They are made in China, okay? They're not real fossils. Real fossils are protected by the Smithsonian and other big corporate-owned organizations, okay? You say, no, why would they lie about this? These things were dragons and giants. It shows it across all religions. And obviously the one true religion, Christ, Christianity, it is shown throughout. They want to hide the evidence that Christ is real and that the Bible is the truth. They want to hide this. So that's when they came up with this big grand idea of dinosaurs. This year, they were reptiles that didn't have feathers. This next year, they may have had fur. They're this big. They're this big. Oh, they were here a million, trillion, bajillion years ago. No, I'm not doing that. Okay, we're not believing it anymore. We're not putting up with the crap. We know what's true. We know these things. These dinosaurs are actually giants and dragons. Okay, why else would these dragons be in all other religions? It's in the Egyptian religion. I forgot the ancient Egyptian religion. It's in mythology. It's in all of it. Okay, it's in Buddhism. All right, obvious. Okay, people, we're starting to wake up now. Okay, everything's controlled. Everything that was told to you is a lie, and I feel like everyone's waking up to this, and I think it's a good thing. But another thing that I wanted to hit on is through social media, the elites have reworked our brains to where we cannot listen to long-form content anymore without getting on our phones and scrolling through social media. They have conditioned our minds to where we can only view or listen to 30-second clips without losing our attention span. So that is why actually there's a director, it might have been Nolan, recently said that you have to restate the plot of a movie throughout the movie at least like 7 times because the attention span of everybody has just gone to crap now because of social media and because of short form content. That is what's really killing everyone's attention span, including, even the boomers, okay? They're looking through short form content and it's not their fault, it just came up and this new technology, they have a lot of time on their hands because a lot of them are retired and, they scroll through and it rewires and reworks the way their brain works. And so they can't even sit and have a full detailed conversation. And that's the ultimate goal of what these elites want us to do. They want us to not be able to hold a long intellectual conversation where you connect with the other person on a deeper spiritual level. They don't want these encounters because they want you to think that there is no God, that you are your own God. And that's a sad life, people, okay? It's really sad to me to think that there's nothing beyond this earth. There's nothing else. It's just poof. When you die, you're gone forever. That's a really sad way of thinking, and that's not what these elites think. These elites think that they're a part of the New World Order, and they think that through this they're going to receive some sort of benefit because they have partnered up. They are pawns of the devil himself, okay? So that's where the correlation is. And coming back to the boomers with short form content, another thing that has really gotten to such a level where it's hard to avoid is AI. Okay, these elites want the AI videos to be so good to where you can't tell the difference. I've been tricked myself. Some of these videos look so real. I thought they were until you look through the comments. Oh, it's AI. You say, Noah, why do they want to load our feed with AI? And that's a great question. They want to load our feed with AI because they want to discredit any sort of videos or photos that ever come out against a politician or an elite, so they then can say, wait, this is AI, guys. This didn't actually happen. This is AI. And then everybody's like, oh, that is AI. No, it wasn't AI. They were pedophiles. They are currently, and they're covering it up, okay? No one's gotten arrested yet, and it just fires me up thinking about it. But don't let this be for nothing. Don't let this information war be for nothing. We are awakening as a society, okay? And Christ will prevail, and so will the American people, all right? That's what I truly think. And I know I've been all over this podcast, but I feel like this may have been the best one yet, because this is the way a lot of people think, okay? I don't have a great attention span, and I think that is through the conditioning that is cell phones, okay? Because the iPhone has been around for 20 years now, and that is a whole generation of people. So we need to lock in together, okay? We don't need to think about everything in terms of social media, okay? Is this going to be good? Should we get a picture here so I can get likes? That's not the way. We have to rewire our minds. Is this going to be beneficial for my spiritual being through Christ? That's the way we should think. What do you think? And I struggle with this myself because obviously I try to run this podcast and I do want to reach mass people, but I don't want to make it such a job or I need these likes. Oh, I need the dopamine. So that's where the struggle comes in with, trying to run my show, Lay of the Land. I get tens of viewers. It's really good. But I feel like it's just good to get your voice out there. That's what I'm trying to say, okay? And I know I've had a lot of feelings and a lot of sayings on this particular episode, but I feel like there's some bits and pieces that you could take out and that you could learn and that you could give me feedback on because, like I said, there is an information war, and I yearn for that information. I yearn for knowledge. There's a yearn for knowledge in a very spiritual way, okay? Because when you're learning and absorbing this knowledge, you can then learn more about the spiritual entities, okay, and the history of the world. And throughout the history of the world, you can see narratives being pushed by the elites, but you can also see that there were subliminal messages through Christ and through spiritual beings that helped shape the world that is today. Because I do think our country is great, and I think we will make it great again once we figure out and once we defeat the elites. But it is good to say the elites will always be in power, but the American people will rise against them, and we will take our country back from these elite pedophile demon worshipers. All right? So, in closing, you say, Noah, what can I do to do my part and to help fight these evil people? You consume less. I've talked about this before. You consume less. You set limits on social media. I'm not asking you to give it all up, but set limits, okay? That is key, is setting limits and rewiring your mind and knowing this social media is killing me. It is literally killing me. Eating whole foods. Not eating the poisonous processed foods that are pumped out to everyone, okay? Filtering your water, which is hard to do. I don't currently do because I don't have the proper filter, but I'm getting one. Not drinking the poison fluoride water, okay? And then also diving into the Word of God. That is what you do. That is how we join together, because through you reading the Word and through me reading the Word, we are then connected through Christ, and it's flowing through us, and we are brothers and sisters spiritually. We are spiritual brothers and sisters. So once you're doing that and I'm doing that, we're going to be connected, okay, on a more spiritual level. And we can then one day become one with Christ, and that is so exciting to think about, okay? So this was episode 6 of the Lay of the Land. Please let me know in the comments what you think. Like and subscribe. Really appreciate you guys. We will be back next week with hopefully a guest. So stay tuned.